Hey, I think this is my first vid since I cut my hair off, so that is good. I'm glad I did that. This is the Book Postscript Tag for 2021. I saw Jim do this one earlier today over at Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. What a great guy, great channel, and it was originally created back in 2018 by Adam at MementoMori, so links will be down below. We just got 10 quick questions about reading for the year. It's a little different than just doing like favorite books of the year, so I thought I would do it just to have a little something. I am still I'm cramming in a ton of movies for the end of the year. The movie list is going to be pretty bonkers because I feel like this has been a real movie year for me. And then books, I'm hoping to get one or two short ones in the next 2 days so that I can have a little more and some more recent things to talk about on that list as well. But let's do this one for now. Just burn through it. The longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. So the longest book I read this year is J.R. by William Gaddis, for sure. It's a pretty long one. It's around 750 pages, 800 pages, depending on the edition that you get. Not only is it long, it's actually pretty difficult to read as well. It is known as, it's a novel that's told almost entirely in dialogue that is unattributed, in the sense that it doesn't tell you who is saying what, and so you're left up to sort of context clues to figure out who is talking and where they are and what is happening around them. Also, Gaddis doesn't use quotation marks, so sometimes if you aren't paying close enough attention, people will stop talking and something else will start happening and you won't realize that it's not them talking right away. It's a hard book to read. Very good book, though. A book that I've wanted to read for a very long time, and I'm really glad that I did. The book that took me the longest to finish, I haven't finished yet. So it's I'm cheating a little bit, but I am going to finish it before the end of the year, I swear to God, and it's Closer by Dennis Cooper. I started it back in August or September maybe, and read like half of it, and then basically just like haven't read any of it since then. But I am going to finish it probably today or tomorrow, so that would be my answer for that. Number 2, a book you read this year that was outside of your comfort zone. This is definitely going to be the Chuck Tingle book that I read. I did a review of Transwizard Harriet Porber and the Bad Boy Parasaurolophus. It's an erotica book, Harry Potter parody, humorous book. I don't really read romance or erotica that much, so it was definitely outside of my comfort zone. But I've admired Chuck Tingle and his public persona and his contributions to the internet for many years, and so I was excited to finally read one of his books. And I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it either. I think it's just, it's definitely like good for what it is, but what it is probably not, I'm not really the target audience for it. But I don't regret reading it, and I got something out of it for sure. 3 is, how many books did you reread this year? The answer is 2. I reread 2 books this year, and they came early in the year. The first one was Slaughterhouse Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which I first read in 2004 or 2005 when I was a freshman in high school. And then the second book I reread was Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, which I first read in like 2009, 2010 or so, when I was like 19. Both amazing books. Both would number among my favorites. And I hadn't read either of them in quite a long time, so I was very happy that I got to reread them. I found it enjoyable. It was kind of like reading them again for the first time in a lot of ways, because I had forgotten so much about them, and was such a different person than I was the first time I read them. So yeah, that was a good time. Number 4 is your favorite reread of the year. I'm going to edge out Blood Meridian just a little bit over Vonnegut. Vonnegut's great. I think there are better Vonnegut's, though. But Blood Meridian is a pretty wild fucking book, and few people have ever been as, particularly I think in the last 50 years, have ever been as exactingly brutal with language as McCarthy was in that book. It's really a pretty exhilarating experience because of that. 5, a book you read for the first time that you look forward to rereading in the future. I'm going to go with, I'll pick 2. I'm going to say Negative Space by B.R. Yeager and The Sluts by Dennis Cooper, which are, spoilers a little, but I'm assuming that those are going to probably be the top 2 books on my year-end list when I make it. I just really, really loved both of those books quite a lot, and read them almost back to back, which was a pretty wild experience. And part of me feels like reading both of those almost back to back and having them be so good, and then I feel like that kind of like killed reading for me. Like after that, for the rest of the year, it's been increasingly harder to get myself to read, somewhat notoriously, I think, at this point. But I think it was like reading those, I just was sort of like, they were so good that I needed to like not read for a little bit and do something else. Number 6, your favorite single short story or novella that you read this year. I'm going to definitely go with Ammon by Maggie Siebert. Maggie is so fucking cool, and her book fucking rocks. And she's still publishing. She's published a couple shorts around places just in the last month. If you follow her on Twitter, she always, posts when stuff gets published. But she's also just very funny and a good follow on Twitter. I'm here for it. I'm on the Maggie Siebert train. And it's like NWO. It's for life. You know what I'm saying? Ammon is a story. I don't want to spoil it, but it's one of the best short stories I've ever read, probably. Just an incredible story to me that is about a little boy who there is something intangibly and unspeakably wrong with this boy. And he's very warm. That's how it starts. He's too warm. And it's a horror story, but it feels biblical almost, in a good way. Super powerful, wild, crazy fucking story. 7, Mass Appeal, a book that you liked and you would recommend to a wide variety of readers. I think that the thing that I really liked a lot this year that would probably have like a pretty wide target audience would be Stoner by John Williams. I almost got it for my mom for Christmas. That's the kind of like wide-ranging audience that I could see it having. It's a very sad book, but nothing unspeakably fucked up happens in it, unlike most of the things that I like. And I don't think it has any sort of like edgy politics that could put people off, or there's no child murder or anything like that in it. So yeah, I think that's, but if you're watching my channel, you're probably at least a little bit okay with some child murder. So yeah, I'm still gonna say, like, Stoner, fantastic, big recommend. To me it's almost like a tough sell, because it, like, the description of it sounds really boring, where it's like, okay, it's the life story of some English professor who, like, never really did anything with his life. But it's like, it's probably one of the best pieces of art I've ever experienced about, we really like telling stories about remarkable people and remarkable events. And the truth is that most of life, for most people, is fairly unremarkable. It's quiet, and there is a sadness to that plainness, I think, and few pieces of art have ever captured that plain sadness of reality, of what most people's lives are like. The feeling of how we all, I think most, when we're young, feel like we're going to do something really big and important, and then we don't. At least not in the way that we think we're going to, right? Some of us learn to temper our expectations, adjust, change the scope and idea of what greatness means and of what impact means, which is, I think, the way you gotta go. But other people do sort of wallow in despair and regret and feel like life is sand slipping through their fingers. And this book really captures that feeling, which is a pretty universal feeling, I think, at least to a degree. Like, most people have that sort of existential crisis, at least at some point in their life, I think. So I think that's why Stoner would appeal to a large audience. Specialized appeal, a book that you liked but you would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. There's a lot of them on this list. I would say that The Sluts is probably the most in this category, because it requires a sort of stomach for some pretty intense stuff, and I think that probably 99% of people couldn't hang with The Sluts. It's just too graphic. It's sexually graphic. It is violently graphic. It is graphic in its depiction of just, like, complete perverse depravity. It is like taking sort of sexual stigma and pushing it pretty much as far as you can. I'm sure that there are certainly things that are more gross and depraved, I suppose. If if you roll in the crowds that I do, you might be familiar with Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, which is a piece of fan fiction about Gravity Falls. I'm not really a Gravity Falls. I like Gravity Falls, but I've never really watched that much of it, and I'm not a fan fiction guy, but I know about this just from like being on the internet because it's like notorious as one of the like grossest, most fucked up pieces of fan fiction that is out there. Not good, not a well written thing, but perhaps slightly more extreme in its disgustingness than Dennis Cooper, though maybe not by that much, and definitely bad in a way, and Dennis Cooper is very much not bad. But, you know, like, when I sat down and started reading the Sluts, I was on vacation with some friends, and they are the people I was with are queer, and they like books about queer characters and stuff. And so I didn't know a ton about the book when I started reading it. And they were like, "Oh yeah, what's the book about?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's about all these, you know, like male escorts and like their male Johns and blah blah blah." And they were like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll read that too." And then as I was reading it, I just felt compelled to like share some of the stuff I was reading and read it out loud. And I remember reading the part where the guy talks about how badly he's always wanted to break someone's legs and how like horny the idea of breaking a twink's legs makes him, and then he does, and they like very vividly describe him breaking this person's legs and coming, and it's, and I was reading, and they were just horrified. they were not down. my friends did not appreciate, and I think that's probably the reaction most people would have to that book. But I absolutely loved it, and yeah, I think that for the right person, it's going to be a really incredible experience reading that book. Number 9, reflect on your year as a bookish creator. Goals met, good and bad memories, favorite videos you made, etc. I had a bit of a weird year. Started doing BookTube in May, but then by July I had kind of burned out on reading. So I was doing a lot of stuff up front and book stuff, and I was doing book hauls and book shopping and book reviews, and I was doing weekly read recaps and all this stuff. Getting a lot of subscribers pretty fast, and then once I quit being able to read, things got kind of weird, and Jim, who I saw do this tag, he was doing the alphabet tags, which gave me something to keep doing so I could keep talking about books. But it was really when I did a tag that was Your Answer Can't Be Books tag, and I started talking about other stuff that I was like, you know, like why I wanted to talk about books and do BookTube was just because I love books and I'm passionate about books, and at the time that I started doing it, I was reading a lot, and I was really feeling passionate about books and had a lot to say about books. And I wasn't in that place anymore for books. And so I was like, why can't I just do, you know, other stuff, not just books, you know? And so that's what I've been doing. I've been branching out into other stuff, music, movies, games, all of the things that I am interested and passionate about. Two, I think, less interest and engagement than I had when I was just doing books. I think that makes sense because a lot of the people who maybe subscribed to my channel found me through book videos or found me through, like, when I did that buddy read with Juan, which got me a lot of subscribers. Maybe, they don't really care about what I think about music or whatever. But that's fine. I don't really care. I don't really care about metrics or numbers or how good a video does or doesn't do. Mostly, this is just sort of a sounding board for me to be able to think about and explore and articulate my passions, and to leave a sort of testament of my thoughts and feelings largely for myself, so that I can come back to these videos later in my life and revisit them. That's the main motivation for me to do this, is to preserve a sort of time capsule of my thoughts and feelings and where I am at this time in my life. And so I don't expect that I'm going to be successful. I'm not doing YouTube the way that you're supposed to if you want to be successful. I'm supposed to, sort of pick my niche and dig into it, and it seems more like my niche is not really having a niche. I'm just doing whatever the fuck I feel like. And there are definitely some people who respect that, but yeah, I don't know. So, goals met. I didn't really have any goals. And good and bad memories. I wish I had been able to keep up reading longer. And I hope I can get back to it soon. Right now I've been really on a movie kick, and I haven't really been... I've been watching a ton of movies because I've been trying to get stuff in for the end of the year. And so I haven't been, like, reviewing individual movies. I haven't done that at all yet. I haven't reviewed an individual movie. I think I will start doing that. But I haven't been doing that because I'm just going to do this end of the year video. And so maybe that'll be, what I'm focusing on in the near future. But I guess I think that, this was my first year doing this kind of content, and it hasn't even been a year. I think I've gotten better at it. I've gotten a lot more long-winded, but I think that also comes with the sort of gaining of comfort and confidence of talking, and the more practice I get at sort of doing this and talking, the more accessible my sort of thoughts are, and the more expressive I find myself being able to be, which is good. I like that. So I don't know. Does it say goals for next year? It doesn't. But goals for next year, 500 subs, that's an easy goal. I will meet that, almost certainly. Because I'm gaining about a follower a day, a subscriber a day, roughly. And so I will probably hit 500 around the middle of the year if nothing changes. But mostly I think I just want to continue being a place where I can just sort of honestly and freely talk about stuff that I like and why I like it. And I hope that you like that, whether it be books or not. And I don't begrudge you if you don't watch everything that I make. That's totally fine. Alright, this is a short one, shorter than usual. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night. Happy New Year.